Podcast City Network.
Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to The Everett Lee Show. A shot of entertainment to the head. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the entertainment.
What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Everett Lee Show podcast. I am the Everett Lee. Quick shout out to everyone who follows me on Twitter. You can follow me at the Everett Lore Score Lee, Facebook.com/the Everett Lee. Click that thumbs up. And of course, Podcast City Network, the official host of the Everett Lee Show podcast. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed last week's episode of episode 136, America Edition 2, with me and Chris Carnage. Right off the bat, I want to mention that I had some problems with uploading the podcast onto Podcast City Network YouTube page because, however, when we did the segment of Fun with Green Screen, it looked like some of the stuff that we used had copyrighted music or claimed copyright music in it. So therefore, I had to go back through, I had to re-edit, and also on the Everett Lee Show YouTube channel for the audio portion podcast, which I upload on there. Same thing happened there. So I had to go back through. I had to delete both of them, and I was going to upload it sometime this week, but I got sidetracked. But be sure to look for that up there, followed by this podcast that you are listening to and viewing tonight here on twitch.tv/Podcast City Network. And I have a guest with me tonight. He is none other than the host of the Squared Circle City Show. I'd like to welcome to the program tonight, Indy Mikey. How you doing, Mikey?
Doing great, buddy. How you doing, man?
Pretty good, pretty good. Just enjoying this rainy weather here in Daytona Beach.
It's raining here up in Indy too, so.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. You know, just with the having it raining here. I guess when it rains up north, it rains down here. We get the tail end of the stuff from you guys. Yeah. If it starts up there. It definitely does. Whereabouts are you?
Well, right now I am in Fishers, Indiana, but I am based out of Indianapolis itself, on the west side. I'm a little mixed out of the west side of Indianapolis and Carmel, Indiana, which is just about a half hour north of Indy, so if even so. Okay.
Is that where you grew up at?
No, actually, I am from Anderson, Indiana, which is about an hour, about 45 minutes north of Indy, a little northeast of Indy. I was kind of all over the place growing up. Didn't move to Indianapolis until 2001, and I've pretty much been rooted there ever since. So.
Oh, nice. So
Yep.
Growing up there, when did you first start watching wrestling? When did you get into that?
Well, I first started getting into wrestling when I was a very, very young child. Both of my parents and my grandmother on my dad's side, well, actually, both my grandparents, both sets of grandparents, it was kind of in the family. It's just something that I fell into more or less. So it's just something that I had, and I just started growing into loving it more as I got older, and it just became a passion of mine. So
nice. Who'd you watch growing up? Who was your favorite when you were growing up?
Oh man, well, like most kids in the late '80s, early '90s, you had to love Hogan. So yes. I mean, it just came with the territory. I mean, parents bought me Hogan stuff all the time, but then once The Undertaker came around in, what was it? I know I'm going to get corrected because I'm actually over at a buddy of mine's house. What was it, 90, 91?
90.
90, yep.
Yeah, it was 1990.
So, yeah. Right there. So, yeah.
That's pretty cool. I like that. I definitely like that. So were you shocked like me when Hogan got defeated. Survivor Series, I think it was Survivor Series, or I can't remember which one, where Hogan lost the WWF Championship to The Undertaker. Were you shocked like I was that Hulkamania got defeated by the Dead Man?
It didn't affect me. I mean, I thought it was cool. I mean, but I was still really young. My memory's a little bit hazy, but I've gone back and watched that match plenty of times, so I'm like, I saw nothing wrong. Flair was okay. He didn't do nothing wrong, so it's all good. I mean...
Yeah. I mentioned this a while back ago, actually a few years ago. You know how when Lesnar broke the streak and people were shocked about that? What's that?
Oh, you kind of lost a little bit of connection there, buddy.
Okay. But you know how when Hogan or Lesnar beat the streak, okay, and after he beat the streak, everyone was shocked about it. Oh
God, here we go.
Now the thing is, I said, seeing Hogan get defeated by the Undertaker back then, that was just like that for me. It was shock because you know this new guy coming challenging Hulk Hogan. Who is this guy, man? Who is this guy? And then he can't beat Hogan, and look what happened. Look what happened. You know, that's nuts.
Yep.
That is nuts there.
Yeah, I try to act like the streak never got broken. I mean, that's still a little bit of a sore subject, but it's all good. It happens.
Yeah.
It served its purpose, so.
It did. And of course, back even before the streak was broken, in an interview, Taker was asked if the streak was ever going to be broken, who would you have it break your streak? And he named Brock Lesnar. He named Brock Lesnar years ago. And then when it happened, it was like a shock. It's like, we'll go back to that right there. Go back to what he said and who he wanted to end his streak. Right? Yep. Pretty much that's how that happened. Now, what was one of the first wrestling events you ever attended? What was one of the first ones you could remember?
Oh, the very first one, I don't remember exactly what month. It was in 90s wrestling event. Monday Night Raw and Night of Anderson, which is
Monday Night Raw and Anderson.
There was two 97 too.
Okay.
I only went to two of them. I only went to two of the Raws that were back in 97.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the one that taped two. Anyway, I was like 8 years old, going on 9 years old, whatever. So it's all good. But yeah, it was Raw back in 97.
97, yeah.
So, and it was memorable for me because I grew up a Brian Pillman and British Bulldog fan. So having the opportunity to say, hey, I got to see those two wrestle before they passed away, and Owen as well. Owen was there as well.
Nice.
Also a huge fan of his.
Nice.
Having got the chance to see them during the Hart Foundation time was awesome and a big honor for me. So that was really what kicked off my live interest. Like, oh, I've got to keep doing this. So
yeah. You're pretty much hooked. You grow up watching it. You go to an event, a live event, and you go, especially on Monday Night Raw during '97, during the what would eventually become like, or in the midst at the height of the Attitude Era, a very monumental moment in WWE history, right there. The Attitude Era was, and that is awesome. I like that. I definitely like that. And I think I was a senior in high school. Yeah, I was senior in high school when the Attitude Era was starting to kick in, and it was in the midst of it. Steve Austin, he was the champion. He was in a feud with McMahon every week, Undertaker, Rock. I mean, it was a great time to be a wrestling fan during that time right there. Now, did you watch any WCW?
And you were... I'm sorry?
What's that? Go ahead.
Oh, what were you going to say?
I heard
WCW.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, did you watch WCW during that time too? Did you watch that or just mainly WWE?
Absolutely. There were countless nights where my dad and I, when we were sitting down on a Monday night, and we still say this to this day. There was countless nights back in the mid to late '90s where we would flip over to TNT and watch Nitro instead of Raw because we were just more interested in what was going on Nitro. So
Right.
But yeah, I love WCW growing up, watching it on Saturday nights on TBS, and then watching Nitro on Monday nights. Yeah, man, I was all about WCW.
Yeah.
So
I enjoyed it.
Actually, if my buddy that I'm here with, I've talked a bit with him about how during the mid '90s there was a lot of it. Like, I don't remember a lot of all the like the Atom Bomb and the Duke the Dumpster Drosy and the Doink the Clown stuff because I was watching WCW more often during that time. Like, I remember a lot of the Surfer Sting and when Hogan first came over and all of that, and that was what really interested me more during the mid to late '90s. And I was like, man, WCW is like this really amazing product, and I still to this day, like, I'll go back and I'll watch that stuff, and it's just like I'm a kid again, so it's all good.
That's awesome, man. That is. I did flip back and forth there. I would watch WCW. I'd watch Monday Night Wars. I was into that, and my father really enjoyed WCW more than he did WWE. He enjoyed it more, and we'd sit there and watch it, especially during that time right there. We would watch during the late '90s, early 2000s. We'd watch WCW, and then we stuck more to WWE after WCW went under, and it was more like that there. But other than that, I mean, he was always a WCW guy, and I was more.
Oh yeah.
I was more WWE.
My dad as well for WCW because he grew up in he was watching back in the late '70s, early '80s during all the Georgia Championship era. So like he was more old school coming from that because we're from here in Indiana. So I mean, right. Him growing up with like Dick the Bruiser and Bobby Heenan and all that, and that's more of his era. And then watching like AWA and Georgia Championship and all that. So that's where he came from. And then we watched a lot more WCW than we did WWE. So yeah. So I dig that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I think your dad and my dad would have got along really great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, he pretty much kept up with the wrestling up until last few years of his life, though. But other than that, I mean, he was always a WCW guy. Ric Flair, he didn't care for. He would cuss at the TV at Ric Flair every chance he got. he hated Flair, man. He hated him, man. I remember my father saying one time, he said, if the world nuclear bomb blew up the world, all be left in this world will be cockroaches and Ric Flair.
Oh,
yeah.
And little does he know, to this day, still true.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Flair's,
knock on wood, Nate ain't going nowhere. So
yeah. He had some scares there, man. Last year, especially with his health and then the surgeries he had just recently. Mm-hmm. I mean, it got a lot of people worried. It got a lot of people worried.
Oh yeah.
It did. It definitely did. Now, out of wrestling promotions, there's a lot of wrestling promotions, you know, with like big company like promotion like WWE, and then you got all, you know, other promotions all in between. What would be your favorite promotion that you like?
Oh gosh. Right now, I watch WWE on a weekly basis, but I don't really. It's like, whatever. I focus more on the independent scene, especially here locally in Indy. Being involved like I am, it gives me more of an opportunity to see more of your local scene here, and then getting to know people like I have over the past year and a half now. Getting to learn more about other promotions, More well-known promotions that I like. I really dig Chikara. I really, really dig what Mike Quackenbush is doing over there with Chikara.
Right.
And luckily for me, I haven't made it out to Pennsylvania yet for a Chikara show. But who's to say that I may not?
Right.
I really like what they're doing. I try to keep up a little bit with what CZW is doing because I've got some people I got some friends that work CZW shows.
Mhm.
Other than that, I try to stay. Hence the name of the show, the Squared Circle City Show. Try to keep more focused because my heart's so invested on the local independent scene here.
Yeah.
So if I had to say my two favorites are the two that I'm more prominent with here in Indy. That's going to be Wrestling Theology Fellowship and Bizarre Lucha. So
nice. Yeah,
so,
you gotta support indie wrestling, your local indie wrestling. There's
absolutely.
There's a lot of promotions here in Florida. I mean, it's almost like the territory days here. There's so many wrestling promotions. There's wrestling promotions up north of me, south of me. I know there's Atomic Revolutionary Wrestling.
Yep. AWR.
Yep.
Or ARW. Yeah.
Yep.
Atomic. Yeah.
I've had Alex Red, the promoter, on back a couple of years ago.
Nice.
I had him on back when it was AEW, Atomic Wrestling Entertainment, AWE.
Okay.
Yeah, I had Alex Red on. I've talked with him. I talked with him here and there on Messenger. We would message each other back and forth and stuff. And there's this one company called Go Wrestle. They used to be just 5 minutes from my house, and then they moved just up the road. They found a bigger place. They draw a great crowd for Saturday night, which is amazing. And they've expanded, and there's been so many. I mean, in Orlando, I got MLW. I mean, I haven't made it out to one of those shows yet, and just a lot of promotions here. It's crazy. It is freaking crazy, man.
Yeah, there's a couple promotions down there in Florida that I try to keep up with. One of them is Ignite Wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure where they're at, but I've talked to their promoter a few times. She's real nice. Mm-hmm. And then I've got a lot of buddies that work for Fest Wrestling out of Gainesville.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's great. I think the promoter for Ignite, I think they follow me on Twitter. I haven't kept up with who follows me on Twitter because I got so many people that follow me. It's just ridiculous, man. In the last 4 years, 5 years, all these people that just follow you on Twitter. It's hard to keep up, man. It is. It's hard to keep up. And I get on Twitter to see what's going on, but then I don't stay on it too much because so many people's trolling and bashing everyone. It's ridiculous, man.
It is. It really is
ridiculous. It kills me sometimes just to even get on there. I cringe when I get on there. If I see something that's just like, ugh, I was like, I need to get off here and just get back on later.
Yep, I know. I definitely feel that. So
yeah, it's nuts, man. It is nuts. Now, you mentioned the Squared Circle City show. How did that come about for you? How did that start for you? How'd you start that? How'd you start the Squared Circle City show podcast? How did that come about?
Well, like we've been talking about, grew up a wrestling fan. Always had a passion for it. I'm only maybe about 3 or 4 months into what I've been doing, but I just got to a point a few months ago where I was just going through a little bit of a rough time. Felt like, I needed to I just wanted to get my voice out there, and I've always had this passion for wrestling, so why not put my voice out there on a platform where, I can say what I'd like and just give my thoughts. Started doing that on a whim. It was back in April, and it was actually right before the April Bizarro Lucha show here in Indianapolis, which if you guys haven't heard of it down there in Florida, You need to check it out. Hit it up on social media. It's awesome. It's lucha style wrestling, but with more of like a strange, unusual, kind of creepy horror vibe, more or less.
Uh-huh.
But it's really awesome. Trip Cassidy runs that one. So if he ever catches this, shout out to Trip, another good buddy of mine. Him and Shotzi Blackheart are both behind that. So yeah, I just got started. Just wanted to talk about wrestling and just talk about life and just put things on for my city, and just be like, hey, who's your boy from here in Indy that just wants to talk about life and wrestling and maybe throw in some music and sports and all that. So yeah, that's how that started. Just felt like I didn't have a voice, so I'm like, screw it, I'm going to have a voice, and I am going to talk on a podcast, and it's going to be fun, and I'm going to do what I want, and I don't care what anybody says. So there we go.
That's
bada bing, bada boom, Squared Circle City Show.
I like it. That's a good way to look at it. That definitely is. You kind of remind me of Robin Nilsson from Wrestle Popcast. How he
I know
does.
of Robin. I haven't met him, but I know of him.
Yeah, Robin's a good guy. He's on his show Wrestle Popcast, and his paranormal podcast Files 13 is on Podcasting Network. And speaking of Podcasting Network, you think I should let the cat out of the bag right now?
Well, the cat was going to get out anyway, so you might as well let her out.
I might as well. And I have loaded up my soundboard for this. Ladies and gentlemen, since tonight, one reason why I have Indy Mikey on the Everett Lee Show is I want you all to get to know him and his show a little bit better from what you hear on his podcast. And you get to hear more of him and see more of him on Podcasting Network. The Squared Circle City Show is officially part of Podcast City Network.
Thank you. Yes.
There you go.
I appreciate it, man. It's. I mean, to be honest, I didn't know where this was going to go when I first started it. So I was like, oh, it's going to be something fun that I do. But, I just started getting more passionate about it. And one thing leads to another. Here I am. And it's kind of a funny story. Like, I was just chilling around after a show, nonetheless,
right,
a few weeks ago, and I saw Heather Owens posted something. And I was like, oh, well, what's this? And then one thing led to another. Here I am. So, yeah, it's definitely an honor for me to be involved with this and be a part of the family. With Heather Owens also being there and Robin Nelson and you as well. So, looking forward to seeing what the future brings. So, yeah,
it's everyone's going to be in for a fun ride because, I mean, already we have you're a new addition to our show, and I want to give another shout out to one of our other shows, Mark the Shark MMA show podcast. His show is new to the network. You're new to the network, Podcasting Network, and right now, those viewing right now, people jumping in, I hope that you can check out more of Indy Mikey and the Squared Circle City Show on Podcasting Network because it is officially announced that he is part of Podcast City Network. And Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast, who's part of Podcasting Network, says, hello, Mr. Everett Lee and Indy Mikey. Welcome aboard Podcasting Network team.
Thank you, Deathmatch Wrestle. Oh, shout out to Deathmatch Wrestle because I was at Bizarro Lucha on Sunday, and Nate Webb was wearing a Deathmatch Wrestle shirt that night. So I was like, yeah, shout out to him.
Nice.
So, yeah.
That is cool. So I know he's going to enjoy that right there. David's going to be ecstatic and flattered about that right there because I even have one of his shirts. I got it laying around here somewhere. He sent me a package. It came right in the mail, and JJ McGuire was here during that time. It was right around the 1-year anniversary of Podcasting Network, and Open up this package, Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast t-shirts. One for JJ took one, Chris Carnage took one, I took one. I got stickers. JJ, I mean, we both, all three of us, just like dug into it like a cereal box trying to find the prize at the bottom of it, man. And of course, David just said he'll be hooking you up there, Indy Mikey.
Much appreciated. Yeah, I'll hit him up. He's hit me up on Facebook. What's up?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've already. How many episodes you already in on your podcast, because it's fairly new?
It is fairly new. I think the Gymnasty Boys, which was my most recent, which if anybody has not checked it out yet, go check out my most recent episode with the Gymnasty Boys. I'm not going to get into too much about that. You can hit me up on my social medias, and I'm sure you'll have me do the rundown of all my socials and plug those. I think that was my 17th episode.
Wow, 17 episodes in. That's pretty amazing, man. That's pretty amazing. My hat off to you, man. So far, right there with 17 episodes in, that's pretty damn good. I've been podcasting for quite a while, and usually shows that people start out, that when they start out, they think, oh, all I have to do is throw a camera or record or throw something, grab a mic and hit record and just go with it. A lot of people don't know how much goes into running a podcast, because it's almost like running like a production, because you got to set up your cameras, you got to set up your sound, set up everything if you stream like I am now, and then edit, mix, and then everything for your audio. When you're having guests on, interview questions, you got to have your questions, your notes, everything you're going to talk about. And a lot of people don't realize all the hard work that goes into putting out content, each week. For an hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or even 2 hours.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Kudos to anybody that's doing a 2-hour podcast for having that much stamina and everything. I don't know how they do it, but hey, if you'll figure out and let me know, by all means. I mean, maybe one day I'll put out a 2-hour special, so not sure, but hey, I'll stick with my 30, 45 hour episodes, so it's all good. But yeah, if you can do a 2-hour episode, why not go the full distance? So hey,
yeah,
to each their own. So,
and I think the reason why those 2-hour podcasts go is because there's a lot of more people. Because if you have more people in a room, that's right there. That's where the conversation goes for about 2 hours. Because if you have like more than two people, yeah, if they could go back and forth, exchange the conversation, that's one thing. But with having more people around and just doing something, and just you can pull off a 2-hour show. But one person, you're doing great just in the time that you give yourself to put out content each week.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing of it is I'm kind of in the process of building it into more than just a one-man show. Mm-hmm. I've got a few things in the works, so
yeah, that's neat. I can't wait to check that out. Now, when people do listen to your podcast, what can they expect when they download your podcast on their device or any way they listen to podcast, and they download your podcast? What can they expect from your show, your podcast?
What to expect from my show? Just a passionate 30-year-old man who absolutely loves professional wrestling, very passionate about being from Indiana, very passionate about the independent scene, always trying to give back to the wrestling business and the independent scene all that wrestling's given to me over the years. So if I can help support promotions around where I'm from and give them back the love that I've gotten from them and all the enjoyment and the happiness that I've gotten from them, just basically give them back to my city and my state and the business what's been given to me over the past 30 years.
Right.
So.
Right. That's a good way. That's a good way to look at it right there. I definitely will check out your podcast, the Squared Circle City show. And I mean, supporting independent wrestling and supporting everything that goes on around in your area, that's freaking great. And I don't know if this is being reflected towards me or you, Mike, but it looked like someone, Stinkiest Duck, said, "Damn, you look strong as shit. I hate to drop the soap in front of you." I don't know who he's talking to. That's I love these comments that come in
most
like that,
definitely, man. Yeah.
I love it, man.
I don't know if it's the beard, but it might be. I'm not sure. No, me. So
yeah. And of course, Deathmatch Wrestle supports indie wrestling, and support Indie Wrestling Mikey, and not an idea.
Yep.
No idea, not my friend. I don't know what he's talking about, but he's referring to something there. Now, we talked about WWE, WCW. Now, you keep up with WWE from day to day and stuff. What is your take? I've asked about every guest I've had on in the last month, wrestling, from wrestlers to promoters I've had on. What's your take on AEW, All Elite Wrestling?
My take on AEW is that it's a fresh shot of adrenaline to the arm of society as it pertains to the wrestling community.
Yeah.
It's something that we've needed for quite a while. I'm interested to see where it goes. I personally would like to see it be everything that WCW fell short of. But it's a very, very much needed, long-awaited alternative. TNA tried it for years. I always felt Ring of Honor was more of like this generation's ECW, but that's just me.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling, especially with Tony Khan back in financially and being on TNT every week, I think it could very well be this generation's WCW. I don't have a single bad thing to say about them. Cody and the Bucks are putting on a phenomenal product already.
Yeah.
The roster so far is absolutely nominal. Few people that do stand out to me in AEW. One is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF, and I've said this before. MJF, and it looks like it's going to be sooner rather than later, is going to be one of the top 5 heels in the business within 2 years. Absolutely. I mean, talk about overall in the business. MJF's going to be one of the top 5 heels.
Yes.
So, and it looks like it's going to happen sooner rather than later. But they're doing great. I'm very excited. So, seeing guys like MJF and Jungle Boy, and guys like Luchasaurus, who used to be in NXT, had an injury, did his thing on Big Brother. I know. I watched that season, and I enjoyed it. But he's doing the whole Luchasaurus thing now, and I love it. Yeah. It's exciting. I know we got Fight for the Fallen this weekend, so that's going to be interesting to see. So, not fully sure what all the card is for that one, but I'll have to go look it up. I know guys like Sonny Kiss are actually going to be on the card, and I'm excited for that. So, but yeah, very excited for AEW. I think they're going to do great. It's obviously giving. And WWE's obviously paying attention now. It looks like so.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what goes from there.
Yeah, definitely. About time. About time they started paying attention, because it kills me for the fact that how bad the product's been for WWE, because I'd like to see them eventually, get out and catch up, and Vince McMahon catch up with the times, because he's pretty much lost. And I know a lot of people have wished that Vince would just and then Triple H stepping in, because Triple H knows how to is great at running a promotion. NXT, for example, NXT has basically become its own brand within a brand, and not a developmental. It was developmental. Now it's a brand within its brand, and he's basically it's killing it, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's just killing it. And with WWE, yeah, them taking notice, them doing little things here and there and stuff. I know Paul Heyman, he's actually taken over Raw now behind the scenes, and Bischoff, SmackDown. I know a lot of people in the last couple of weeks, well, it's like, it's still the same thing. It's still the same thing. Well, you know what? Just give it some time. By SummerSlam or after SummerSlam, things should be different. Things should definitely be different. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, and I don't expect it to be like instant change overnight. Right. That first Raw that Paul Heyman took over, like it was obvious that like, hey, things are changing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, things are slowly changing.
So much Raw lack of SmackDown.
You're cutting
SmackDown
out.
last promo that promo last night was like much needed, very much needed.
Yes.
So I'm excited to see where that's going as well. So it's nice to have good health. It's nice to have good healthy competition in the business because, and I'll say this. I mean, I may not be like the biggest WWE fan right now, but I want everybody to succeed, because if everybody's succeeding, then it's good for the business. So I don't want to ever say anything bad about WWE or AEW or Impact or Ring of Honor, New Japan, whoever.
Mm-hmm.
I want everybody to succeed, because if we're all succeeding, then everything's going to go great. So, and we're in a very, very thick time. Like I almost want to say a wrestling renaissance right now, where everything is just booming and running on all cylinders, and there's so many options for everyone. If you like more of your family-friendly stuff, then you've got WWE. If you like what AEW is putting on, that's there for you. New Japan, or if you like stuff that like CZW or PWG out in California, or Chikara, or whoever. Like, there's options for everyone. Not just for fans, but for workers as well. And that's one thing that I've noticed. Is like there's options for everyone. There's money to be made and entertainment to be had. Mm-hmm. So amazing time. Like, it's kind of like a mid and like the territory is amazing, and it just makes me so happy to see it eating and if you can't wrestling to watch, you're not paying attention. So I mean, it's just a great time to and wrestling's hot again.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah. You're lagging just a little bit there, man. You're just lagging on your end just there a little bit. On your, it's probably your connection there.
Oh man,
it happens, man. It happens. You can't really help. You can't really do nothing. Yeah, you can't really do nothing with the lag with technology and stuff. You know what? The way I look at things is this is like what the 21st, 22nd century. It's like if they could put a man on the moon, how come they can't make technology better than what it is, like you see in the movies? For instance, it's crazy.
Oh, exactly.
It is.
Absolutely, man. Couldn't agree more.
Yep. Now, besides wrestling, is there anything else that you're interested in? Any other certain type of movie genre, music you listen to? When you're not watching wrestling, discussing wrestling, what else do you like to do with your time?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, me being from here in Indiana, I mean, I'm a sports guy, so I've actually got a few plans to be talking sports more a little bit once we get closer to basketball time. It's not by coincidence that my colors for all my promotional work are blue and gold. So yeah, being here from Indiana, I'm a Pacers fan, so I'm definitely gonna be talking about football and basketball, baseball. Music, I'm all over the place. Just depends on my mood. Whatever. I mean, from like punk rock to rap, a little bit of country thrown in there. It's just whatever strikes my mood. But yeah. Movies, like horror movies. I dig horror movies. Like, I really do. I'm a bit of a Disney nerd at the same time, so it doesn't matter. I'm a 30-year-old Disney nerd. It's all good.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm all over the place with things, man. I enjoy a lot of life, so. And I like a lot of nostalgia. I like feeling like I'm a kid again, like going back to like video games from when I was a kid and stuff, like playing my Super Nintendo and stuff every now and then. It's just like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, I mean,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. If it's not broke, so just, I mean, don't, exactly. I definitely agree. And you're talking about Disney. I have a 2-year-old. Of course, everything pretty much Disney is in my house. And, of course, my daughter, she loves the Minions. She loves Despicable Me movies. And she loves Monsters, Inc., Monsters University. She loves that. She's really into Peppa Pig and Paw Patrol. She loves that stuff, man. I mean, it's stuff now. It's what's popular there. Now, you talk about horror. What's your favorite horror movie?
Oh God, that's definitely a little putting on the spot. That one's really hard to narrow down. It's easier to say what I like in general than to just pick like an absolute favorite. Mm-hmm. I'm really into the Saw franchise, like really, really into it. I haven't seen the new one, but I do love the Chucky movies. That, and I'm really into the whole House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects movies that Rob Zombie did. And actually, last year, I had the honor of meeting Sid Haig and Bill Moseley from those movies.
Nice.
Over at Days of the Dead here in Indy. That was right before 3 from Hell really started wrapping up. I think it might have been right around the time they were wrapping up, because I was talking to Bill about, hey, when's the new movie coming out? And he said, it's coming out next year. Yeah. Can't tell you all that's what's going on. So I'm very excited for that to be coming out later in the year. So, But yeah, that's just a little bit of,
Yeah. Yeah, the Rob Zombie films, the House of Thousand Corpse and Devil's Rejects. I really did like Devil's Rejects. I thought that movie ended pretty well. And then when, talks and everything coming out with like 3 from Hell, I'm looking forward to that right there. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. And you're talking about music this morning. I'll tell you what happened. I'm sitting there driving to work this morning, and I got Sirius XM in my car. So I'm sitting there driving on my way to work, and I have it on Octane. They play hard rock. I listen to hard rock. I mean, if it's not noticeable right now, I mean, like what I'm wearing. But metal's. I listen to a lot of different variety of music, but metal is like my one thing I go to when I listen to. It's like metal. I always go back to that.
I dig it.
Alter Bridge. I really love what they do and stuff, and especially Miles Kennedy and the collaboration he's done with Slash. Well, they're like, here's the new single from Alter Bridge. I was like, no freaking way. These guys, I was jamming down the road, sitting there hauling ass to work this morning and just jamming out the new Alter Bridge. It was great, man. I cranked that thing. And I'm sitting there just thumping. It's like everyone's dragging going to work. It's like this. If they're going down the road going, oh, man, I got to go to work. Here I come pulling up. I'm like sitting there. I'm like, yeah. Start my work day just headbanging out, man. And then when I end my day, I'm heading down the road same way, just going home. Everyone's like, oh, God, I'm so tired. I got to going home. Here I am at the red light. Pull up. Yeah, going home. Yeah.
That's exactly the way I am, man. Well, whatever. I got my Bluetooth hooked up in the car. I got Spotify playing, so I'm good, man. With whatever I'm feeling, I'm just like, get me home. Let this music just relax me, and Calgon, take me away, so it's all good, man. Whatever I'm feeling that day, man, I feel you. I definitely feel you.
Yeah. A lot of the music that I've discovered and listened to, I found on listening to Sirius XM, going back and forth between like Octane channel, going back to Liquid Metal, and I even like listening to the classics. They got a channel on there called Ozzy's Boneyard. They play a lot of the hard rock stuff. I'm sitting there, listening to Dio, Rainbow. I mean, Rainbow. They play a lot of Rainbow, Dio and Rainbow, but especially Rainbow. I like Stone Cold, and just that's one of my favorite Rainbow songs right now. Just hearing that while I'm driving in the car is just amazing. Just hearing all that good old classic rock stuff.
Yeah, man, I dig that most definitely. I never had Sirius for like the car or whatever, but I might have been like AT&T Uverse or whatever they used to have it like on a music channel, like on the music section for whatever. And yeah, I used to listen to Ozzy's Boneyard, Liquid Metal, and all that stuff. Hear a little bit of that. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I love enjoying listening to that. And Sunday, me and my wife, we sat down. We actually had time for ourselves, and she's like, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "We're gonna watch this movie I DVR'd because it came out Sunday finally, like on HBO. It was Bohemian Rhapsody. We finally watched that. That was a pretty damn good movie. Yeah, it was great. It was great. I hate to spoil it for anyone that hasn't seen it yet, though, but I'm pretty sure everyone's seen it, though. But I was so damn glad when Freddie got rid of Pete, man, because Pete just suffocated the hell out of the guy, man. He wanted him for himself. When the moment I knew it was over for him was when he said, "Well, how come you didn't tell me about Live Aid?" And it was like, "Oh, you're out of here, man. You're gone. You're gone, man."
If anybody has not seen that movie yet, they're doing themselves an absolute disservice. Queen's my favorite band of all time.
Yeah.
And it's one of my bonding things that I have with my mom. So I took her like opening weekend, and I have pictures on my personal page on Facebook. We went and saw that opening weekend, and I was just a blubbering mess, man. So that movie's very few movies in recent years have ever broken my top 5 favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
That one actually happened to do so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that right there is just a great movie, because if anyone has not seen it yet, I suggest you see it. And one of my favorite parts in the movie was when they're in the studio, they're sitting there arguing about stuff, and then the bass player's sitting there and he's like, boom, 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 boom. And they're like, what are you playing there? And he's sitting there, he's like, boom, 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 just playing that line, the bass line for Another One Bites the Dust. And I loved how they did stuff like that. How, parts like that in the movie and stuff made it really fun for me to watch, especially when they were recording Bohemian Rhapsody. That was fantastic. That was just fantastic how they got in there and just collaborated and did all the crazy stuff together just to come up with a masterpiece, a rock theater masterpiece.
Right now, I don't know if you caught it during the movie, and it's one thing my mother and I caught when we were in theaters when we saw it. I didn't realize that Mike Myers was in the movie.
Yeah.
And there was a scene right after they got done recording Bohemian Rhapsody where he had said something about nobody's ever going to enjoy this movie or this song. Something about teenagers banging their heads in their car while they're driving. And my mom and I lost it because they threw in that little nod to Wayne's World, and I'm like, yes.
Yes. Yeah, that I noticed that because I thought of Wayne's World when they said that. I thought of Wayne's World automatically because of Wayne's World, the first one, they're sitting there just banging their head, man. I love that. I love that. I was laughing to myself about that. My wife's looking at me like, and I was like, I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later.
Got to school the old lady up on some Wayne's World there, buddy.
Yeah.
That's another one of my all-time favorites, man.
Yeah.
wait until hockey season starts. I'm a Blackhawks fan, so I've got 2 shirts from Violent Gentlemen, so I'm going to give them a free plug right there. It's a little free publicity for the Violent Gentleman brand that I've got Wayne's World themed Blackhawks shirts. So wait until hockey season starts rolling around when I'm breaking those back out. So
nice. That is awesome. That is awesome. So that was one of the recent movies I just seen, and another one I just seen. I like those action type like movies, like Jason Bourne, like The Bourne Identity.
Yeah.
I watched, what the hell is it? Oh, The Accountant, Ben Affleck. I thought that was a fantastic movie, man. I love that.
Okay.
Yeah, that if anyone's
I've heard good things about that one. I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, The Accountant was pretty damn good. I'll go on. I'll sit there when I'm not helping Chris Carnage run Podcasting Network, when I'm not recording or setting up to record anything or doing anything, and I have time for myself, I'll sit back on the couch there and I'll go through it on demand. I have PlayStation View, so I'll go through and I'll look for on-demand movies, and that's where I've watched most of my movies at. And of course, late at night, here in the last week, I've been sitting there just almost passing out on the couch watching Rick and Morty.
Yeah, that sounds about right, man.
Yeah, Rick and Morty's just crazy, man. I've watched it. I'm familiar with them though, but actually, like sitting down and watching episodes, it's just freaking hilarious, man. Those guys are just. It reminds me of the generations of Beavis and Butthead. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, I can see a little comparison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I can see a little comparison.
Yeah, it definitely reminds me of Beavis and Butthead. Just watching that right there and just getting into that. And you into comics? You into superhero movies? Are you into that?
I am, and that's kind of I don't want to really say an Achilles heel. But that kind of I'm the odd guy out. I know everybody's like a Marvel guy, but I'm a DC guy from childhood.
Yeah.
So
that's fine.
Actually, the very first movie that I ever saw in theaters, was the very first Michael Keaton Batman back in '89.
Yeah, I love that.
I've been a DC guy ever since. But I'm.
Are you there?
We good? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm mostly caught up with the Marvel movies so far, but I'm more of a DC guy. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's funny that you bring up Michael Keaton Batman, because I was talking about that today with some friends at work. We were sitting there talking about one of my friends he's never seen the '89 Batman. I said, you got to freaking see it, man. He's familiar with the Dark Knight, like modern stuff. He's a little bit younger, so I give him a pass on that. I give him a pass on that. I told him, I said, you need to watch it, and I told him, I gave him told him a few things about it. I said, one thing about the '89 Batman is that Michael Keaton didn't read any of the comic source material. Tim Burton just basically went in a direction, but it was still a great movie. And Jack Nicholson killed it as Joker. He killed it as Joker.
Yep.
One of my favorite Jokers. Yep. My least favorite Joker out of the DC movies would have to be Jared Leto's Joker from the Suicide Squad. And
I'm so sorry to hear that, buddy.
Yeah.
That's where you and I are going to differ a little bit. I liked what they were doing with the whole Suicide Squad thing, and I liked what they did with Jared Leto. It was different. It made him feel he had more of that like modernized gangster feel.
Yeah, but my only what's that?
My buddy says that he sucks, so it's like, okay. So hey,
my only drawback on that, and the reason why I say that is because Jared Leto. You know that when Jared Leto was cast as Joker, they filmed all this stuff with the Joker, and they didn't use that footage. They didn't use it. It ended up on the cutting room floor. And I felt that impression of Jared Leto, they could have used that because it would have made me like that character more often. But it was a good take on it. But however, that when it came off on camera to me, it didn't come off as strong as a person like for instance, Nicholson or Ledger. That's why. That's
right.
why. That's why.
Yeah,
that's why I
say
say that. That's why I say that, because I would have liked it. But then when Jared Leto got mad and he like badmouthed everything about it and stuff, and I was like, you know what? That's total turnoff on why I, don't really care much about this, because I wish I would have got to see more of it, but we didn't get it. We definitely didn't get it.
Luckily, though, they are working on. We're not sure yet if James Gunn, who was doing the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, I'm not sure if it's going to be like a direct sequel or if it's going to be like a bit of a soft reboot. But I'm excited for what he's going to be doing with that. It's interesting that Will Smith's not going to be coming back for it, but Idris Elba's going to be in it, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
I think they said John Cena is in the works to sign on for that one as well.
Yeah.
I'm definitely interested to see what they do with that and with everything else DC moving forward. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what James Gunn's take is going to be on the Suicide Squad, because I mean, if you look at Guardians of the Galaxy, what he did with that was fantastic, because he really made that franchise what it was. And I'm so glad that James Gunn is coming back for the third Guardians of the Galaxy, because it would not be Guardians of the Galaxy without him, right?
It wouldn't. And you're absolutely right on that one.
Yeah, it just wouldn't, because who could fill those shoes right there? Come on. I mean, who can fill those shoes? And
who are we going to get to fill those shoes? Quentin Tarantino? I mean, come on now. I mean, no.
Exactly. I mean, I love Quentin Tarantino films. Pulp Fiction would have to be my number 2 favorite film of all time. My number 1 favorite film of all time, I have to say, is Fight Club.
Oh, yep, I can dig that. That's a great movie.
Yeah. I would say more about why I like Fight Club, though, but I can't talk about it.
We can't talk about
it. That's what I tell everyone. It's like, well, why you like Fight Club? And I was like, I can't talk about it. Can't talk about it.
Nope.
Cannot talk about it. Because I think I have 2 or 3 versions of Fight Club. I got the regular version, I got the 10-year anniversary, and I got the Blu-ray version. So I really like the movie. I even got the book. The book is freaking fantastic. If you ever read the book, because the book is different. There's a lot of things that's different from what they did in the movie, but how he met Tyler, that's totally different. How that happened right there from the book, from the movie, it's totally different. In the book, he met Tyler on the beach, not on a plane, like it did in the movie, which I thought was, different. But, I mean, that's, that's Hollywood there for you. You got to change some things up from, book the movie and stuff, Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they definitely do. Yeah. But I've enjoyed talking with you tonight, man. I definitely have enjoyed talking with you tonight here on the podcast, and had a great time. And
likewise, man.
I'm looking forward to seeing more with the Squared Circle City show and everything that is to come with your podcast, and here having it on Podcasting Network. And speaking of your podcast, where can people keep up with yourself and the Squared Circle City show at?
Well, you can catch up. You can listen to all that I've done so far, mostly on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, There's a few others like Spreaker and whatnot. I've got some other ones that are like smaller, lesser known, but the main ones are like Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Those are the 4 that I like to plug the most. Social media wise, you can follow me on Facebook. It's going to be facebook.com/Squared Circle City Show. You can just go to the search engine on Facebook and just type in the Squared Circle City Show. I'm sure you'll be able to find me. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram both. They're both going to be Indy Mikey 317. It's going to be INDY, not INDIE, because I'm from Indy. So yeah, both Instagram and Facebook, both Instagram and Twitter, it's going to be Indy Mikey 317, and then the Square Circle City Show on Facebook. So
nice. I want to thank you for coming on tonight. And before we do close this podcast out, I do want to mention that Friday night, right here on twitch.tv/podcasting network, the Deleted Wrestling Podcast, the wrestling podcast I bring out once a month, I will have none other than Kentucky's Own Wrestling, the Chris Rose, will be on to discuss with myself this Sunday WWE Extreme Rules pay-per-view. We will do like we did last month and then months before when we talk about pay-per-views. We will discuss this card for this pay-per-view, and I am excited to have the Chris Rose come back on and discuss this Sunday's Extreme Rules pay-per-view. And don't mind that noise in the background. That's my mother's phone. She's shutting it off real quick. But other than that, this Friday night here, 9 p.m., 6 p.m. Pacific, the Deleted Wrestling Podcast with Kentucky's Own Wrestling, the Chris Rose, will be joining me to talk about Extreme Rules this Sunday. So be sure to check that out, and be sure to check out more of Podcast C Network over on podcastc.net. Hit them up on Facebook, Podcast C Network, and send a tweet to them on Twitter at podcastcnet. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel of Podcast C Network on YouTube, and right here, follow, like, and enjoy Podcast City Network on Twitch, Podcast City Network. And you can find more of the Everett Lee Show right here on Facebook, the Everett Lee Show. Click that thumbs up, and of course, Twitter at the Everett _Lee. Follow me on Instagram, Everett Lee Show, and on the YouTube channel for audio portion of this podcast and previous release podcast on YouTube, the Everett Lee Show. And you can follow me and download on Podbeam, Everett Lee Show, Stitcher Radio. You can download the app for your smartphone and tablet and listen to Everett Lee Show, and on Google Play, Apple Podcast, iTunes, right there. And ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the Everett Lee Show podcast. We'll hit the outro music, and that is it. And want to thank my guest, Indy Mikey, coming on tonight. And I will see you again next week for another exciting episode of the Everett Lee Show. Peace.